Arne Slot is one of the best coaches in the world right now, no doubt, and considering he's the reigning Premier League champion and holds the award for Premier League Manager of the Season, you won't be wrong to say that he's the outright best coach in England right now. See, due to the fact that he was coming from the Eredivisie and was taking over from Jürgen Klopp, who had proven to be one of the best coaches in the world, the pressure was super high when Slot assumed office as Liverpool head coach in 2024. But he handled that pressure just perfectly, winning the Premier League in his very first season in England, and he was able to achieve that despite not doing any serious business in the summer, making the feat even more impressive. Jürgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger. None of these greats were able to win the Premier League at first attempt, but Slot did it. He's mint, for sure. In fact, with what he has shown so far, we'd make the rather bold claim and say that Slot is better than Jürgen Klopp, but there's still something missing. What's that thing? Let's start from the beginning. First of all, some might think it's crazy to say that Slot is better than Klopp, considering he rode on what Klopp built to achieve his own success. But the truth is that if you watch the way both of them approach games at Liverpool, you'd see that Slot is the better tactician. Klopp always had one approach for every game: heavy metal football. And while it made him dominant most of the time, if it didn't work, he was simply done. This was why, in his last 2 seasons at Liverpool, he struggled quite a bit because he had been found out by most of his opponents. Slot, meanwhile, approaches games differently based on the team he's going up against. He sets up his team with the aim of nullifying specific teams and taking advantage of specific tactical weaknesses in the opponents, and it usually works for him. He also shows a lot of pragmatism. Last season, he often made tactical and personnel changes in order to secure wins and close out games. It is often said on social media that the moment Slot brings on Endo, the game is pretty much over. And well, the fact is that this pragmatism really helped Liverpool win the league last season, but there's still something missing. While Slot seems like a better tactician than Klopp, one thing is certain: he is not a better manager. It was not hard to tell that Klopp developed a personal relationship with his players, understood them and always protected them. Slot, on the other hand, hardly does that, and we saw a very good example after their first loss of the season. Liverpool's visit to Selhurst Park did not go as expected, with the Eagles snatching a very late winning goal and putting an end to Liverpool's unbeaten run and perfect start to the season. And in reaction to that, Slot went to the post-match conference to blame one of his players for the Crystal Palace winner. He said that they conceded that goal because one of his players was too eager to play a counter-attack in the last minute of the game when they should just have been focused on defending. He practically blamed the loss on that one player being too offensive-minded in that moment. Now, in that one statement, we see 2 huge differences between Slot and Klopp. Obviously, losing a game in that manner is always very hurtful, but you would hardly ever see Klopp come out to throw one of his players under the bus. He was always defending and protecting them like they were his own children, and their reciprocated love for him always showed in the way they always hugged him and were publicly affectionate with him. Secondly, you would hardly ever catch Klopp complaining about his players being offensive-minded at any time in the game. He was always in support of his team attacking and trying to score as much as they could. And you know what? That, on its own, is something else that's missing with Slot. His inability to kill games off by scoring as many goals as possible might make him a great league coach, but not exactly the best in a knockout tie. Last season we saw this play out in the Champions League. In the league phase he was spectacular, finishing at the top of the table, but in the first knockout round he was knocked out by a not so good PSG team, and much of that was down to his inability to go gung-ho when he needed to. In the FA Cup, he got knocked out in the 4th round by lower division Plymouth, and although he went all the way to the final in the EFL Cup, he was unable to clinch the trophy against Newcastle. Klopp, meanwhile, played a type of football that enabled him to dominate both in the league and in the knockout competitions. He played a brand of football that made opponents fear him. Playing that way, he won the Premier League once and missed out on the trophy in 2 other years by just 1 point. In fact, many fans joked that if Klopp had the luck to still be Liverpool coach when Pep fell off, he would have won the league much earlier than Slot did. And mind you, while he was doing that in the league, he was also going crazy in knockout competitions. He won the Champions League once and reached the final 2 extra times. Essentially, he was able to find the perfect balance between how to play in the league and in how to play in knockout competitions, but Slot, in his first season, did not do that. Hopefully, he'll be able to correct that this season, and while he's doing that, we're sure Liverpool fans will also be hoping that he corrects one other thing. they'd be hoping that he begins to produce more entertaining games like they used to enjoy during the Klopp days. Of course, winning football matches is always a good feeling, but for clubs as big as Liverpool, it is not enough to just win. Fans also want to be entertained, and that's one thing Slot's football is missing. Klopp played a very entertaining brand of football. It was heavy metal, gegenpressing football, which often produced a lot of goals and kept fans on the edge of their seats from minute 1 to minute 90. With Slot, it's just about efficiency. He doesn't really care to entertain. Before the Palace game, Liverpool had a 100% record across all competitions this season, but they had not been entertaining even in the slightest. They were just being constantly bailed out by miraculous late goals game after game, which meant that they were grossly overperforming their expected points. When you play a brand of football that's not entertaining, the losses hurt a lot more because now you gave the fans neither points nor excitement, and that can be really frustrating. Finally, we don't think this is something he can change, but Slot just doesn't have Klopp's charisma. Liverpool fans fell in love with Klopp not just because of the football, but also because of his personality. He was this effervescent and animated character on the touchlines whom the crowd grew to love. His huge smile on the touchline and in interviews, his fist pumps to the crowd after games, the way he hugs his players so passionately, and even the way he would run into the pitch to celebrate big goals, all made Klopp feel like more than a coach. He felt like a father, a brother, a son, an uncle. He was family. Slot just has a completely different personality, and we believe for that reason he might never get the type of love Klopp got from the Anfield crowd. But that's not his fault though, it's just the way he is. But if he concentrates on improving on other areas we discussed earlier, we're pretty sure he'll endear himself to the Liverpool fans a lot more. We now want to hear from you though. Do you agree with what we've said? Are there more things you think Slot needs to work on? Who would you say is the better coach and manager between him and Klopp? Get in the comments and talk to us. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.
Do you want to make money with affiliate marketing? Join the Goal90 Shop affiliate program and start earning today. Get your unique affiliate link and exclusive discount coupon to share with your audience. Every sale made through your link earns you a 10% commission. No limits, just real earnings. Don't miss out. Turn your influence into income now.